Yo, what's up guys? Say Chronicles here. Going to talk today about account level. I've been getting quite a bunch of questions about that. It's a pretty simple topic, but still explaining that. And then also ToA. First of all, I'm going to explain like the account level, where it's from, how it's used, whatever you should level up. So account level actually comes from how many units you up in their levels. So technically, it is actually pretty useful if you have a bunch of 5 stars that you know you are going to use later to just simply level them up. Because if we check right now, I'm level 38 with 3.3k. If I have a whole bunch of these XP potions that I'm no longer using because my units are already max level. So let's say I up this one and let's say, okay, there was 3.8 is what I had before. And now I'm at 5.3. And that is making just one unit going from level 1 to level 40. If you do that for a bunch of units, like for example, I literally just did that for all of the net 5s that I have. I have acquired a bunch of net 5s, but I had made all of my net 5s from level 1 to level 50, and that literally boosted my account level from 31 to 38. So I was like, okay, I should have done that earlier because that is pretty nice. So actually, you can get a lot of these XP potions from this, but also if you just do the whole secondary quest line, you get a lot of these XP potions as well. And also check out my previous video. There's a bunch of more spots where you get these XP potions, which you should focus on after doing the main quest line. But then the main question for this, of course, account skill. What should I focus on account skill? And this is kind of like depending on which class you play, how you like to play it, and that kind of stuff. So in my case, which I really recommend everyone to go for, is going for these skill cooldowns on your summoner. Because that is just very good. Like, I don't really care about the crit damage and that kind of stuff yet. But the skill cooldown on your summoner is very nice. Things that I also really like is the cooldown, of course, on your monsters. And I pretty much did everything for monsters to up the damage for monsters. Afterwards, what I did on the NA server was going for monster, like, defense and that kind of stuff. And the reason I go for monster over summoner is because you have one summoner and 3 monsters, so I think it's higher value. Even though if you check, for example, crit damage here goes by 8. And if we have crit damage here, I think it's over here, it's by 7. So it's not that much less, and you have 3 more of the units than you have. And I think in the early game, the units are way stronger than the summoner in general. So afterwards, you can go, for example, for monster HP and that kind of stuff. But some people also like to go for summoner HP. And that is because if your summoner dies, your whole team dies, so your summoner has to survive. Personally, I like to go for monster stuff because the monsters I cannot fully control whether they die or survive. And if my summoner dies, it's pretty much my fault in most cases. So for that, I think this is like helping out AI and this is helping out yourself, more or less. But you can kind of choose on it. But again, start with these two. These two are very important. If you haven't had them yet, I think that's your next thing that you should focus on. So that is for account skill. Moving on to the next topic being ToA. So what is ToA? How does it work? Well, ToA is very simple. You just do stages. And what you can do, if you press this one, it will automatically go all the way up. And you just clear everything. Like, as long as you clear everything, it just goes up and up and up. It's pretty easy. It's very chill. Normally with those special rooms, we had to do 10 every time. And then go into one special room and then do another 10. But the special room's stacked right now, and if I'm not mistaken, it stacks up till 30, or I just was at 30, like 30.0 at some point, but it looked like it stacked until 30. You always want to do the highest level on this that you can clear, so if you can't clear it yet, because your power is too low, I would just recommend to wait out, like stack a few more, and then just do it at a later moment. Question you might ask, ToA shop, what do we get from the ToA shop? Nothing. And the reason I say nothing is because you're going to use those shields, knight shields is what it is, for those buffs over here. The immemorial power, immemorial power, summon power, alchemy power, and celestial power. Might you ask what to focus on first? Immemorial power and summon power actually improve your general like team power as well. Chemical power and celestial power do not. And if you're familiar with Sky Arena, this is really what you can compare with doing your glory towers. It's like overall horizontal progression that works everywhere. So if you add extra attack on your summoner here, you have extra attack on that summoner everywhere in the game. PvP, PvE, raids, ToA, everything. So it's very useful to farm these and use all of those knight shields to actually up these. And I recommend you to mainly up the immemorial power and summon power. And once those get like pretty costly, because every tier costs like extra prior to the last one, at some point you can say like, okay, they cost so much, so I might as well add a few of those, because those don't cast the, or don't cost the secondary and other material yet. So if you up those, it's just the knight shields, and then at some point you also see that it asks for this dragon token, whatever it is. Token of test, guard, and reheal metal. So then the question is, how do you get those? Those you actually get from spiers. And also good to mention, ToA. ToA normal resets. ToA hard resets. So you can do those 2 every month. Another interesting thing is if you clear it on the special quest that you have sometimes, which always rotates. So sometimes it asks like do 3 critical hits or do 3 recoveries. You want to do those for the stages that actually have one of those side things next to it, because those actually give pretty good rewards for both gold, XP potions, but also Breath of Lives. So that is something you at some point want to do. You want to scroll through the whole thing. This one apparently I didn't do. The hidden condition was not unlocked, so I have to redo that thing and then check what the secondary mission was to unlock this. And you kind of want to do all of those because they give a good amount of gold and like XP potions and that kind of stuff. If you have one of those rooms, wait, we can actually go into one of the rooms just to show you. So you have 2 different kinds of rooms. You have chest rooms and you have monster rooms. If you kill all of the monsters, like this one is kind of a hybrid 50-50. If you kill all of the monsters, the stage will automatically end. So you don't want to kill all of the monsters, except for the one where it's just like 4 rows of like 4 by 12 rows of chests. You're never going to be able to open all of the chests in the given time. But yeah, you kind of want to clear all of the chests and then you want to clear all of the monsters. A thing which you can do is if you open a chest and you use one of the unit's skills, like for example, I'm using Segment Q right now, it will start targeting things and your monsters already start hitting things. So you kind of do both at the same time. It's kind of recommended to do over here. It's also chill if you're like farming and stuff like that and you're looking at your mining and stuff like that. You're looking at your phone or your PC. It's actually a good combination to do that as well. In this case, I'm not sure if I even have enough power to clear all of that. These things are just chunky and walking around. If you have units like Halia, the Dark Harpy, she's pretty good for this stage because you have the armor break branding on one unit. It's very good single target damage to kill out these bigger things, which pretty much struggle to kill right now, it seems. Let's just give a lot of researches and maybe we'll get there. I actually do kind of struggle to kill this thing. Holy shit. But yeah, it keeps running, so AoEs and that kind of stuff are less interesting. For the smaller ones, it's easier. Also, like the higher level you do of this thing, the more HP they have. So if you do this at lower levels first, which I recommend you to do, this is a lot easier. And then at the end of the rotation, because there's still like 18 days left on this ToA rotation, you can say like, okay, I'll do the harder levels, which I wasn't able to clear fully. So you can only enter this stage once. So once you enter it, you cannot enter it again. And I think I might, am I on time? I think I was on time. But as you can see, it is a good amount of XP potions, good amount of premium potions, and a decent amount of gold. So that is something you definitely want to add into doing as well at some point. Man, there's so much stuff to do. So also don't think that you have to do everything in one day. Just take it like chill and just do your things like one by one. Another thing that I mentioned, like how do you get these other things? And that is by doing spiers. Spiers doesn't reset. Spiers will at some point get added extra stages. So currently we can do till 100. In the NA server you can do until 120. And you can do the elementals until 90 if I'm not mistaken. 70 or 90? I think 90. So yeah, what does this mean? Well, you can clear them and then they're finally cleared, or they're actually cleared and you don't have to redo it again, except that you actually have challenges. And within those challenges, you can see like the amount of like lighted things over here, which ones I already did. So in this case, if I click on the challenge, this is easier to see actually. You can see like, okay, I have to do this particular stage and it asked me to place in an assassin. At early levels, it's pretty easy. Just put in like any unit that you kind of have leveled, then use the 2 next units next to it that you normally use. And since you probably overpower it, it's pretty easy to do for those lower levels. And with that, like the first clear, you get those tokens of test. The second clear, you get the tokens of guard. And the third clear, you get those, I can't see them right now, you get those materials, the Brahil metals. So at some point, you want to clear every stage 3 times extra. So you want to clear it the first time and then another 3 times for the challenge, so 4 times in total. It will take you quite a while to get all of the things done, but it's similar like to Glory Towers, like I mentioned before. It will take you a good amount of time, but then you get a pretty nice horizontal boost of your whole account, pretty much. And this also overlaps towards the other main characters too, or the main summoners. So there's just a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. Besides that, I also talked about this in the previous video of earlier this morning, if you checked it. There's also the elemental spiers. Once again, they don't reset. And you have to bring in, if you go in here, the full elemental team of that team. Fun fact is that this is exactly the same tower as Spires normally is. So it's technically just another challenge on top of Spires. Because if you check the very first stage in the normal Spires, we will see it's a Tessa. And if we go that in the fire one, we can see still the Tessa. Even if we go in wind one, for example, the very first stage, when we go down, still that Tessa. But then you just have the different requirements. You can check through the stages what you actually get as runes or like as rewards as well, because this is pretty worthy to do. And so at some point, like level 6, you get legendary runes. 7, legendary rune. Legendary rune. We get a bunch of other stuff. Not too bad, not too bad. These are pretty good as well. These give a lot of like materials for crafting. We get a bunch of those. We get more runes. And they actually have pretty legit stats in general. So this is, and clearing up to 20 shouldn't be too hard. This one's also pretty useful. But clearing like 18 is pretty nice. And it actually works for all of these. So even in here, you get rage set. Rage and rage. So most of my good runes that I currently have are pretty much just those. So that is definitely a thing you want to check out if you're done with the main story. Or even before, like if you need some extra power and you might have like 3 good wind units or 3 good other units in one element, you might actually check that out and get some of the rewards over there. Do we actually get runes from this one as well? Oh yeah, here we got blade runes too. So yeah, definitely check out Spires. Spires does give like pretty good rewards. Just in general, like at some point it will get, at some point you get like a bunch of rewards that you're like, man, not that much interesting. But at some point there are a bunch of rewards that are pretty interesting again. We get like more, but this is pretty far up already. So yeah, that is pretty much all about ToA. Hope you enjoyed this video. I am, of course, going to be making more guides like this. So if you don't want to miss any, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and see you in the next one.